Hello, my name is Abigail. On this channel, I talk about books and things that I'm passionate about, like posting 31 videos in 31 days and participating in a horror bingo. So I stumbled across Sarah from Wicked Readings channel with horror bingo. I hadn't seen any of her other videos before, but now I've gone ahead and started to go back through the backlog of her content, and I'm pretty excited to have found a new booktuber to watch. But that is not what this video is about. This video is my proclamation that I will be participating in 2025-2026 horror bingo brought to you by Wicked Reading. So I don't do anything half-ass. Okay. So when I found out about this, I took notes. Okay. I got notes. I also have a stack of books in front of me. So first I'm going to go ahead and move over so I can pop the bingo board right here. So here are the things you need to know about horror bingo. There is a bingo board, and this readathon read along takes place all the way from October 1st of 2025 till September 30th of 2026. So there's plenty of time to black out the board. I am announcing my intent to black out the bingo board, but I'm not going to do it on hard mode, I don't think, just because I actually don't think I have one or two that fit some of the prompts. If this changes, if something new comes along, I will adjust accordingly. I'm going to try. My plan is to try to complete it in hard mode, but I already know I failed with just number 5, I think 5 or 6. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start with the first row. And the first row, very first square, is published in 2025. Hard mode is to read it in 2025. So my plan for this is Coffin Moon. This is by Keith Rawson, and this has been published very recently. I believe it's only been since at least like August or September, so it's a fairly new book. I intend to read it before the end of this year, and from what I know about this is it has vampires, I guess. I mean, that's all I really know. I don't really like to know things about books before I get into them. So it's the winter of 1975 in Portland, Oregon, and it's all sleet and neon. And I think they're going to go vampire hunting, I believe. I don't know. Coffin Moon. Coffin Moon by Keith Rawson. I'm pretty sure this has something to do with vampires, though. Yeah, right here it says, just when I thought I'd read every kind of vampire novel, here comes Keith Rawson with a story that shocks and surprises. Coffin Moon is a gritty, blood-soaked tale of revenge that's steeped in 70s grime and grounded in authentic relationships. So it's definitely got something to do with a vampire. This is obviously not going to be the only vampire novel that I read, because if you're already familiar with the bingo board, and you can see it right here, there's a square all about vampires. The square right next to it is a book with mixed media, and the hard mode is at least 3 types of mixed media. Inside of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, there are multiple types of mixed media. Some are like just passages of a book, and some are like tarot cards or recipes, I believe. There's multiple different types throughout. So I'm going to count this as my square for mixed media. Now, what do I know about Witchcraft for Wayward Girls? As far as I know, this is a book about women who end up pregnant, and they get sent away to have their babies, and the place that they are in this book is where they get sent. And if I'm not mistaken, they stumble upon witchcraft for wayward girls, so they just start doing some witchcraft. So I will be reading this to fit that prompt. For the third square, which is indie or self-published, and the hard mode is new or new to you, I have chosen a book that's been on my radar for quite some time, and this is Pen Pal, and that's by Dathan Arbach. And from what I understand about this book is it began as, if I'm reading directly from Goodreads here, which I am, Pen Pal began as a series of short and interconnected stories posted on an online horror forum long before it was adapted into illustrations, audio recordings, and short films, and that was before it was revised and expanded into a novel. And it says, how much do you remember about your childhood? In Pen Pal, a man investigates the seemingly unrelated, bizarre, tragic, and horrific occurrences of his childhood in an attempt to finally understand them. Beginning with only fragments of his earliest years, you'll follow the narrator as he discovers that these strange and horrible events are actually part of a single terrifying story that has shaped the entirety of his life and the lives of those around him, and that's all I want to know. So my intent is to read Pen Pal for that square. The next square is paranormal, and the hard mode is going to be something that contains ghost hunters. And I am between two novels, one that I already have on its way to my house, and one that has been on my radar for a really long time. How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix is en route to my house as we speak, and I don't know very much about this one, but I think that this one see, even now I'm wavering. Do I want to go with this one, or do I want to go with episode 13, which has been on my radar for a long time as well? And if I go with that one, it technically meets the hard mode of involving ghost hunters. So catch me determining between those two. For the next square, it is stolen from another TBR, and hard mode is if it is a bookish person. I have not gone ahead and started looking at other people's TBRs because I wanted to set my own first. I didn't want to use a lot of what other people were doing, but obviously I do need to steal one. So I will be choosing one that I haven't decided yet. For the next square, that is the first of the second row, I believe, we have the prompt of vampires. And for vampires, the hard mode is if it is set in modern day. This is where I've already started to waver off of going through hard mode. I've chosen Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. And the reason that I've chosen Hungerstone is because it's already in my house. I already own it. I have a copy right here. There are many other books that I'm sure that I would find to replace this. And if I do stumble upon something that fits better and I do end up picking it up, I will switch it out for my actual completed book. However, there are also several books that I still need to purchase for this challenge that I have had on my TBR or want to read or have wanted to read for some time or are coming out soon. And so in an attempt to make a less financial burden for myself, being that I already still have some I need to purchase. So for that reason, I have chosen Hungerstone. Now, Hungerstone is a reworking of Carmilla. I have never read Carmilla, so I don't know how closely based this is, but I've heard some pretty mixed reviews on this. Some people say it's great, some people say it's not for them, and I'm interested to find out if it is in fact for me. Next square on the bingo board is a water setting. We're moving right into exactly what I was talking about when I was saying that I wanted to minimize my financial burden with this bingo board, because the book that I want to read is one that's been on my to buy list for a very long time, and that is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. And if I'm not mistaken, which I could be totally wrong here, I believe that this is a Titanic retelling, but it involves sirens, killer mermaids. Hey, turns out I actually mixed two books together. Into the Drowning Deep is the Killer Mermaids, and The Deep is the Titanic one. So, long story short, I picked this one up, realized my error when I saw the cover, and I have rectified this error by purchasing The Deep. Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant is about a woman who goes to explore the Mariana Trench with a band of scientists to uncover the truth of what happened to her sister. And there's killer mermaids in this. Killer mermaids, the Titanic. There is no book that contains killer mermaids and the Titanic. So wires were crossed, but I now own both books, and one of them will be used to complete the prompt. Following right along the trend of I do not own it, but I would like to. That is going to be horror movie, because the next prompt is horror movie element. So horror movie, which is by, I don't know, but it'll be right here. I already intended to pick this one up, specifically the paperback with the fun sprayed edges. So it's not like it was too much of a stretch to add it to this TBR, because it was already something that was on my radar and had intended to pick up anyway. Horror movie by Paul Tremblay is a chilling twist on the cursed film genre and it is set in June of 1993. A group of young filmmakers spent 4 weeks making a horror movie, a notorious disturbing art house horror flick. That's all I want to know, and it fits the prompt. And then the hard mode for this is to actually watch a horror movie. The next one is going to be to spell ghost or scare with the letters of the author's name. The creator of Horror Bingo, Sarah from Wicked Reading, has pointed out that Stephen Graham Jones has all of the letters for scare or for ghost in his name. So any of Stephen Graham Jones' books will do for this. And I believe I am going to choose either I Was a Teenage Slasher or Mapping the Interior. Both of these have been on my radar for a while, so it would not hurt me to pick either up. And the hard mode is to read from a BIPOC author, which Stephen Graham Jones identifies as, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Native American. So that works for the hard mode prompt as well. The last square on the second row is liminal spaces, and the hard mode for this one is even number of pages. The most obvious choice for this is House of Leaves, but I don't think I'm ready to jump down there yet. I think that that is a book that I would like to not read for something else. I don't want to feel like I need to complete it for another goal. I want to read that to read it, if that makes sense. So I have decided to do a little bit of research, and the research has concluded that there is a book called House of Hollow. I know next to nothing about it, but the cover looked cool and it fits the liminal spaces prompt. So I don't know how many pages it is, and this is another reason that we could fail the hard mode. So I just pulled up Goodreads, and it says that I have actually had this on my want to read list since March 13th of 2021. So this, if any of the books that I have said that this feels like a good reason to pick this book up, that right here is the perfect reason. I've wanted to read this for over 4 years now. So that sounds like a perfect reason to pick this up. And it turns out it was published in April of 2021. So I've actually wanted to read this book longer than it has been out. How many pages does it have? The hardcover has 292 pages. We're going to call that a win. So here's what I know about this book, or what I can recall, is that it is if I'm not mistaken, a YA book, and something happens to the main character and her two older sisters when they were children. And if I'm not mistaken, they somebody goes missing under like strange circumstances, and they all have like scars. I believe that all three of them have matching scars, and Google told me it's a liminal spaces book, so I'm counting it as liminal spaces. Hopping in to say I picked up this book today, and it is technically YA, and it is definitely under the dark fantasy and paranormal category, and YA predominantly, but it also still technically is horror. It is tagged on horror on Goodreads, so I'm counting it, and so yes, there's that. Row 3 starts with a library book. I don't know what book I will pick up from the library, but when I do, you will be the first to know. The next square is picked by chance. Now, picked by chance, you have to have a number of 10 options to consider it counted for hard mode. So what I plan to do is I plan to take all of my horror novels that I have not read and that aren't on this list that count for a prompt, and I'm going to put them on a wheel, and I'm going to make sure I have 10, and if I don't have 10, I will find some more so that I can have 10. And what I will do is I will spin a wheel, and whatever it lands on is what I will read for picked by chance, and whatever it lands on is what I will read for picked by chance. Very dead center of this entire bingo board is a book that I've been putting off. Once again, this is where I fail hard mode, because I've technically already started this challenge. I won't tell you what book that I've read already from this bingo board, but I have already technically read one of these things without meaning to or realizing. And the book that I have been putting off for years is The Cabin at the End of the World. And I don't really have a good reason for why I've been putting it off, but I know that Netflix did something with it, and I think that I don't know enough about this book to know that the theory that I have is correct, but the theory that I have, um, if it is this, I don't want to know. So here's what I do know about this book. There is a family that goes to a cabin. Surprise, it is at the end of the world. And there are some people that knock on the door and they convince this family that the entire world is over. And the only way to continue moving forward is to do something terrible. And if I'm correct, I will be so pissed because not only will I have predicted the book before I read it, but I will also have read a book that I don't want to read, because if this happens, then I don't want to read it. But the hard mode of this was to read this one first, and obviously I have failed. So, moving right along. My cat came over and knocked a bunch of stuff over. So hopefully the angle change isn't that distracting, but it happened. So we'll move on. The next thing on the list is going to be LGBT rep, and I have chosen Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. The reason that I picked this book is that I already own it. I'm sure there's tons of fantastic LGBTQ horror, but I happen to have this one, and it is stunning aardvark edition. If I find something that I would rather count instead of this, it is an option. But this is what I have on my TBR for now. So I guess what I should have said at the beginning is this is a tentative TBR. And what do I know about this is pretty much nothing. I think that Chuck Tingle is pretty well regarded in the horror space. So I picked something that, well, I mean, I already owned it. So I picked it for that reason. But it says 4 years ago, an unthinkable disaster occurred in what is later known as the low probability event. 8 million people were killed in a single day, all of them dying in improbable, bizarre, weird ways, strangled by balloon ropes, torn apart by exploding manhole covers, attacked by a chimpanzee wielding a typewriter, stuff like that. So I guess I don't know. That seems really fun. I say it's fun, but 8 million people died. So maybe I need to reevaluate what I consider fun. The next prompt is a buddy read, which I have not determined what I will read for my buddy read because I don't know what other people are reading. So I can't choose that yet. The next thing, unfortunately, is another thing that I haven't been able to choose because it is a book that is recommended. So I'm going to keep my eyes out for people who read horror, people who read books that are pretty similar to my tastes that read horror, and I will choose one that they are recommending based off of that. And for hard mode, I believe both of those are to participate in a discussion and out of my comfort zone. So I guess I'm going to pick something that is out of my comfort zone for the recommended book. The next square that we need to attend to is a novella. So for the novella, I have a couple options. I can read another Stephen Graham Jones, so I could choose Mapping the Interior for this one. And what I actually have written down is The Intercepts. I don't know why I've chosen that because I quite frankly don't have any idea what it's about. But I have chosen The Intercepts and put it down on my list of things to look out for. Popping in once more to say that this book right here, Guillotine by Delilah Dawson, is actually going to be my pick for the novella. And there's a couple reasons that this is the case. One, I just determined that the book that I had originally selected for this prompt is actually over 300 pages, which is in fact not a novella. So whoever recommended that to me lied. But I picked this one up. It's right around 200 pages, and I had seen this already somewhere and it piqued my interest when I saw it, but I wasn't adding things to my TBR to buy just because of the sheer amount of things that I already have to pick up for upcoming vlogs and horror bingo. So I didn't really make much sense to purchase this. But then when I saw how small it was, I was like, okay, so I'll get this and I will replace this um, and add this to the novella spot on our bingo board. The next prompt that we have is a horror that is based in nature or eco. So I have chosen Eat the Ones You Love, and the hard mode for this one is that it has like Planty Eco on the cover. And Eat the Ones You Love is by Sarah Maria Griffin. I believe it is about a carnivorous plant. And so I picked it up with every intent to read it aside from just for this vlog. I actually found this book before I found Horror Bingo, but it fits, so we'll read it for that. The next square is title includes a verb. And now this one, I'm not sure if it even counts because I'm not sure if this is technically mystery thriller or if it is horror, but I have chosen We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. Being that it has something to do with ghosts, I figured I would count it for that because ghosts are very horror-esque. So I felt like this would count. Now, what do I know about this? I believe it has something to do with a haunted house and the edges were pretty. And I've read from Sarah Pinborough before, so I figured it worked for this. And the hard mode for this is backlist 3+ years. I don't believe that this counts. 2025, published this year. Does not count. So we may have to rework this. I'm not sure. Moving on to the next prompt, and that is going to be second chance. This is a book that you're giving a second chance to, an author you're giving a second chance to, or something of that nature. Hard mode for this is going to be odd number of pages. And for this one, I've chosen a book that I've already started and partially, not like a hard DNF, but I definitely DNF'd it for the time being. And that is How to Survive a Horror Story. And this is by Mallory Arnold. You can see I got about 90-ish pages of the way through this book. It's got some beautiful sprayed edges because I'm stupid and I love a sprayed edge. But I picked this up actually the day before it released, so it shouldn't have even been on the shelf. But I grabbed it and I started reading it for Summerween, and I did not complete it, obviously. And I don't know if it just wasn't the right vibe or the right time for me, but I just didn't care for the book at that time. I'm hoping that I care for it this time, though. And the hard mode is that it has an odd number of pages, 359. It counts for hard mode. So as you can see, I've chosen mostly books that will count for hard mode, but there's a few that don't. So I, like I said, reserve the right to change anything I want to change. So the next one that is on our list, the next prompt is going to be animal on the cover, and the hard mode is longer than the previous. It's going to be easier and harder in the same vein because it would be really easy to just pick a book that's shorter, read that first, and then read this one. And the hard part about that is a worm an animal? And for this, I'm saying yes. This is You Weren't Meant to Be Human, and it is by Andrew Joseph White. From what I understand about this book, it is about a trans man who gets pregnant, and whatever he's pregnant with is not human. It is very graphic, very gory. It delves a lot into reproductive horror. So I'm not even sure that this is something I'll be able to handle. But nevertheless, I picked it on Aardvark, so I will proceed with caution, but I will proceed. Our next prompt is a one-word title, and it has to be colorful. And so for this, I have chosen Bunny by Mona Awad. It is a one-word title, and it is very vibrant, and so I'm counting this as colorful. I just picked this up specifically because I wanted to read it, but also because it was pretty, and also because it fit for one of the prompts. So what do I know about this? I'm pretty sure that this has it's like the Heathers, but also like psychological in nature. So this is Bunny by Mona Awad. I know it's a lot of people's favorite book, and God, I hope I like it because I hate to be the outlier. But I also, if everybody else likes it, I'm probably guaranteed to like it, but I also know that there are several booktubers whose opinions don't necessarily always align or ever align with mine that have said this is their favorite book. So I'm probably going to give this either a 1-star or a 3-star. Our next prompt is a debut book, and bonus points or hard mode if it is a debut author as well. So for this one, I have chosen The Eyes Are the Best Part. I do not own this book, but I guess there's a girl and she is going to have an insatiable hunger for eyeballs. And I don't know what possessed me to think that that was a good idea to read, but it was something that I wanted to read, and so I put it on this list. And so I'm going to read it for horror bingo. The next book that I have chosen, and this is going to work for the prompt, works with another goal. And the reason that it works with another goal is because I've already read it for my Demon Possession blog. Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen is a novel about two sisters, Lucy and her sister Sarah. And something is possessing Sarah. And the hard mode for this was overlapping with a community event. And while it's not necessarily a community event, I did it on BookTube, so it counts. Our final square and our final prompt is social commentary horror, and it is bonus points if the author is marginalized. And the book that I've chosen for this is When the Reckoning Comes, and I don't know who it's by. Forgive me, but it's on the screen so you can see it. This is a book that I found out about several years ago, and I've had every intent to pick it up multiple times, and I just never find it at a bookstore. So it's going to be something that I'm going to have to order from like Amazon or something because it's never in stock anywhere I go. So this is, from what I understand, again, it's been a long time since I heard anyone talk about this book, but this is about a Black woman who goes to a friend's wedding, and that wedding is taking place on a plantation. And I believe that our main character can see ghosts. So it's probably very upsetting for her, but it is a social commentary horror. And I believe the hard mode for this was marginalized. So I'm fairly certain that our author is a marginalized woman. I believe she is Black. So that is my entire TBR for the horror bingo. So I hope that I complete it. I'm fairly certain I will because a significant portion of these books are already on my like direct to to be read list, and the rest of them that I don't own were ones that I either picked specifically for this or have been on my TBR for a really long time. So I am fairly certain that just within the next few months I can knock off at least 5 or 6 of them. I will consider it a win if I get bingo in at least 2 places, but I will consider it a super win if I black the entire board out, which is what I aim to do. So, wish me luck on my horror TBR journey, and I hope that you're participating. And if you're participating and you have any books that would fit for any of the prompts that I didn't think of, let me know in the comments down below. And as you know, I am posting every day in the month of October, so I will see you tomorrow.